Hinduism, one of the world's oldest and most intricate religions, is a fascinating tapestry of beliefs, practices, and philosophies that have evolved over more than 4,000 years. Unlike many other religions that are built around a single founder or central doctrine, Hinduism is a vast and open-ended tradition that embraces diversity, both in the gods it worships and in the spiritual paths it encourages. This flexibility is at the heart of its strength, allowing followers to engage with the divine and the universe in deeply personal ways. But what really makes Hinduism so compelling, and how does it shape the lives of over 1 billion people today? To understand Hinduism's roots, we need to go back thousands of years to the Indus Valley civilization, where some of the earliest forms of Hindu practices emerged. The Vedas, ancient sacred texts written in Sanskrit, serve as some of the foundational scriptures of Hindu thought. These texts were composed around 1500 BCE and are considered the source of much of Hindu philosophy, rituals, and ethics. But unlike a rigid, dogmatic system, the Vedas are open to interpretation and have spawned countless schools of thought within Hinduism. How often do we encounter a spiritual tradition where such openness is built into the very core of its sacred writings? Central to Hinduism is the belief in a cosmic order, known as dharma, which governs not only the actions of individuals, but the entire universe. Dharma is a difficult concept to translate directly, but it essentially represents moral duty, righteousness, and the laws that maintain harmony and balance. Every person has their own dharma based on their position in life, whether they are a student, a parent, a ruler, or a spiritual seeker. Living in accordance with dharma is crucial because it influences one's karma, the universal law of cause and effect that states every action has consequences. Karma, in turn, impacts one's future rebirth, as Hindus believe in the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, known as samsara. Imagine the weight of every decision you make impacting not only this life but your future existences. How does that shape your actions and the way you interact with the world? The ultimate goal of the soul in Hinduism is to achieve moksha, or liberation, which frees one from the endless cycle of samsara. Achieving moksha means uniting with Brahman, the ultimate formless reality that transcends the physical world. Brahman is not so much a god in the Western sense, as it is the infinite source of all that exists. Yet, Hinduism also embraces a rich pantheon of deities such as Vishnu the preserver, Shiva the destroyer, and Devi the divine feminine. These gods and goddesses represent different aspects of Brahman and can be worshipped individually, depending on personal devotion. For many, devotion to these gods involves rituals, prayers, and offerings, but there is no single right way to engage with the divine. The sheer diversity of gods and forms of worship makes Hinduism a kaleidoscope of spirituality. Doesn't it seem remarkable that a tradition can simultaneously embrace both the idea of a single, formless ultimate reality and a multitude of deities? One of Hinduism's most famous texts, the Bhagavad Gita, offers profound insights into these philosophical ideas. Set as a dialogue between the prince Arjuna and the god Krishna, the Gita tackles questions of duty, righteousness, and the nature of the self. Arjuna faces a moral crisis on the battlefield, torn between his duty as a warrior and his reluctance to kill his kin. Krishna's guidance to Arjuna reveals the essence of karma yoga, the path of selfless action, jnana yoga, the path of knowledge, and bhakti yoga, the path of devotion. These paths offer different ways to attain moksha, demonstrating that Hinduism doesn't dictate a single spiritual path for all. How often do we find a religion that allows its followers to choose their own way to salvation based on their personal inclinations and life circumstances? But beyond the gods, scriptures, and philosophies, Hinduism is deeply embedded in the cultural fabric of life. Festivals like Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and Holi, the Festival of Colors, are not only times of celebration, but also occasions of deep spiritual significance. Diwali represents the triumph of light over darkness and good over evil, while Holi celebrates the arrival of spring and the victory of good, symbolized by the playful throwing of colored powders. Rituals like lighting lamps, singing devotional songs, and sharing food with loved ones bring communities together, creating a sense of unity that transcends the spiritual and enters the realm of everyday life. And what about yoga? While widely practiced across the world today for its physical benefits, yoga's roots are deeply spiritual, aimed at achieving union with the divine. The physical postures, or asanas, are only one part of an eightfold path described in the Yoga Sutras. Through disciplines like meditation, breath control, and ethical practices, yoga serves as a means of aligning the body, mind, and spirit, helping practitioners reach a state of inner peace and oneness with Brahman. Hinduism also tackles some of life's most profound existential questions. What is reality? Who am I? What is the purpose of my existence? The Upanishads, a series of ancient philosophical texts, delve deeply into these questions. They explore the nature of the self, or Atman, and its relationship to Brahman, offering insights into the ultimate oneness of all existence. These texts encourage introspection and meditation as paths to realizing this oneness, helping individuals transcend the illusion of separateness that keeps them bound to samsara. However, Hinduism is not without its challenges. Historically, the caste system, a social hierarchy rooted in ancient texts, has been both a defining feature and a source of immense social inequality. While the Indian constitution outlaws discrimination based on caste, its effects are still felt in many parts of society. This aspect of Hinduism has drawn significant criticism, both from within and outside the tradition, raising questions about how such a deeply spiritual belief system can reconcile with such entrenched social divisions. Hinduism's vastness and adaptability may explain why it continues to thrive in the modern world. It embraces science and spirituality, tradition and modernity, personal devotion and philosophical inquiry. For some, Hinduism is a way of life that provides guidance in moral conduct, familial duties, and personal growth. For others, it is a profound and deeply personal quest for truth and self-realization. How many other belief systems offer this level of freedom while still holding deep respect for tradition? Ultimately, Hinduism's resilience lies in its flexibility. It doesn't demand dogmatic adherence to a single set of beliefs or practices, but rather encourages individual exploration and understanding. Whether through devotion to a god, philosophical contemplation, or the practice of yoga, Hinduism invites each person to find their own path to the divine. Isn't it extraordinary that a tradition so ancient can still offer so many pathways to spiritual fulfillment in today's world?